Hey everyone, and welcome to the Mic'd Avengers podcast, where we focus on martial arts and action cinema, but definitely delve into much more. My name is Jason from Martial Arts Theater 3000. I've been a lifelong fan of martial arts movies from Bruce Lee to the Venom Mob, Bruceploitation, and everything in between.
My name's Dragon, aka the Fanatical Dragon on YouTube. I also write the Blu-ray reviews for Eastern Heroes magazine right here in the UK. I'm about 4 decades into this love affair with East Asian cinema, specifically action cinema. Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan and the Shaw brothers got me into Hong Kong films, but unlike my buddy Jason, I've seen a whole bunch of Japanese, Indonesian and South Korean action flicks too. So over the coming episodes, every so often, we're going to force feed him something he has not seen.
And I'm Shaun, also known as Food for Thought. It all started for me at the tender age of 14, where I discovered Jackie Chan's Drunken Master. From there, I kind of delved into old school Kung Fu, and that has been my passion for 30 plus years now. I also started delving into all realms of Asian cinema, and I'm very happy to say that these days I have a pretty strong passion for kind of dark Korean thrillers. If you like what you hear and you're enjoying the podcast, please give us a like, share and subscribe. And please enjoy this episode of the Mic'd Avengers.
Greetings once again and welcome to the Mic'd Avengers podcast for episode 13. I'm the Fanatical Dragon. I'm joined as always by my brothers in Kung Fu, Jason from Martial Arts Theater 3000. Say hello, Jason.
How's it going?
And Shaun from Food for Thought.
Howdy all.
And today I'm delighted. It's another intervention episode. We are returning to Indonesia for Timo Tiohanto's The Night Comes For Us. So for this episode only, we have reneged our Mic'd Avengers membership and joined the 6 Cs. And we're taking some time out of our criminal empire to speak about this phenomenal movie from 2018. Our quick synopsis before we get into it tells us that The Night Comes For Us is a 2018 Indonesian action thriller written and directed by Timo Tiohanto. It was originally conceived as a script and adapted into a graphic novel and then a film. A gangland enforcer is caught amidst a treacherous and violent insurrection within his triad crime family upon his return home from a stint abroad, which does not scratch the surface of the madness and mayhem that awaits you in this movie, a movie that I absolutely fucking love. I don't want to jump in straight with my opinion. I'm itching, palpably, almost sweating to know Jason's reaction. So, Jason, I'm going to throw it to you first, buddy, because this is your first time watch. And
Yes.
I think also your first Timo movie. I think this is the first time you've seen a Timo Tiohanto movie.
Yeah, it has to be, because when you were saying before we watched this, you were going, Timo. I didn't know what you meant. I thought in the movie halfway they start yelling that maybe, like some weird like time thing or something. Yeah, I've never heard of this guy before.
He's a titan at this point. He's absolutely one of my, I'd say within my top 5 favorite action directors currently working. Far and away the best director working in Indonesia just now, and also now making action movies in the States too, right?
Awesome.
Yes, he's currently working on The Beekeeper 2 after putting out Nobody 2, which Nobody 2, it entertained me, but I don't think it was amazing or anything. But I'm hoping he can let himself off the leash a bit with The Beekeeper 2, because the first one was pretty bonkers.
It is a little bit of a John Woo Hong Kong versus John Woo America situation going on with this stuff too. His wings are being clipped. But The Night Comes For Us snapped up very quickly by Netflix, so it never really had a proper physical media release. So anybody who has a Netflix, boo indeed. Anyone who has a Netflix account can pretty much see all of his films. I think his entire filmography almost, with the exception of maybe his first one's not been, but certainly this.
I'll tell you that
Headshot.
That guy and Netflix don't blend in my mind. You know what I mean?
Think so, right?
It's so interesting.
If you said like Netflix Indonesia only, maybe okay, then it's something that's not America, like our version of it. It just, and I don't know why, because Netflix, just all of those eventually feel like they're getting Disney-fied, even if they're not, maybe, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and thankfully he does not that. He's got his own, he's got his own voice. Oh, completely. He's a man. On you go.
Sorry, I think Netflix, I think there are certain people at Netflix that obviously have a kind of know-how when it comes to action, or knows what the audience wants at least, because they kind of latched onto Timo early. They got Gareth Evans for Havoc, and then you have like Sam Hargrave for Extraction, which they got, and he came out of nowhere. Other than off the back of Avengers, we all knew about his work there, but he came out of nowhere. And sometimes they just hit these action gems. It's not everyone. In fact, they probably have more duds than good films.
Oh,
but
definitely.
when they do, every so often, they kind of know what's going on and have their finger on the pulse.
Who is they, though, as a collective, these directors, you mean?
No, he means Netflix.
Like the big
wigs
okay.
Okay.
Netflix,
I think meant Gareth and Timo and these guys.
No,
I mean,
we will get it. There's a connection
have those people on their radar. Yeah.
There is certainly a connection between Gareth and Timo. Timo, in a way, is the continuation of the birth of Indonesian action that Gareth kickstarted with the raid. So the stunt coordinator and fight choreographer for this movie was Muhammad Irfan, who cut his teeth as one of the stunt performers on the raid 1 and 2, and then essentially got promoted up once Gareth left Indonesia, came back to Wales. They all kept wanting to make movies. So I think the first movie of this sort that they made was called Headshot, which is more a movie with our main actor from the raid also in the main part in Headshot, Iko Uwais. Iko Uwais is more of a supporting role in The Night Comes For Us. Our main actor here is the phenomenal Joe Taslim, kind of former judo champion, currently working on Mortal Kombat as what's he usually playing Mortal Kombat? Is he Sub-Zero?
Sub-Zero, yeah.
For American Mortal Kombat fans. Occasionally makes movies in Korea. Did a great movie called The Swordsman in Korea. But he put out a post recently on his Instagram that basically said every 7 years he does something absolutely insane. Because there was I think there was 7 years between the raid and this.
I think so.
Yeah. And then 7 years on, he's done Furious now with Kenji Tanigaki. So
cool.
Which I'm very excited to see what he does in that. But yeah, I'm rambling too much when I'm just wanting to find out. I've already seen Jason grinning, which is a good sign. He doesn't look like he's got to break bad news to me.
Well, it's either he's going to give us good news or he's just going to come out with a fucking humdinger of just slating of this film and just shit all over it.
I'll give you a choose your own adventure. Here's the thing. I have good news and bad news. I know.
Say it.
Which one do you want first?
Let's start with the bad. Rip off the Band-Aid quick, man.
So here's what it is. I don't know how you guys file these in your mind, if these feel separate from the raid or if it feels separate from, this is my third intervention on the Mic'd Avengers, but I don't know how far it feels from, I Saw the Devil or the raid. To me, they're all getting kind of lumped. And it's also because of the cinematography, because one time I was reading, and you know this from Fincher, how Netflix really loves that. Fincher does it all the time. You guys know what I mean? Social Network, Fight Club, everything's kind of greenish, dark. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know the exact color scheme, but it's kind of like a modern thing that it's not this bright like Alice in Wonderland. It's all kind of this. It's also in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Yeah, murky kind of. And so it maybe that kind of lumps them and really separates them from the old school. It's definitely different to begin with, So for me, I felt like I was kind of going into the raid 2 when it started. I felt like that. And I felt like everything was going better and better. But for some reason, when it got to that first fight scene, something struck me as slightly off on that first fight scene when they're in that nightclub or something. Maybe it was a mix of where the camera was and the music came in, and I don't know. It just something was a little off. It was kind of do you know how the music choice on that, where maybe we watched The Matrix and music comes in and that was so cutting edge, but it could feel a little dated when it's like a techno beat or something, I felt a slight dated vibe. The fighting was good, decent. Here's the thing. It was good. It just felt inconsistent. But then when it got to the butcher scene, everything was amazing. I was like, this is awesome. It felt different. I don't know what it was. So here's the bad news. Overall, I was blown away by parts of it, but as a whole, I felt like it lacked cohesion and it was inconsistent in it undulated in its level of quality almost. And here's the problem. And I'm not going to go off because I do have a lot of positives. I'll just say the other negative was I felt the story wasn't executed great. You've seen this story a million times, old school, new school. I just felt like I'm starting to really want such a powerful villain. I felt like he was kind of lackluster, and I felt like what should have replaced that villain being a little lackluster for me, being the tension and the traitor and the twist of the two of them of I don't get their names on, Joe Taslim Taslim and Aiko.
Mm-hmm.
It felt weird. I felt like they kind of fumbled the moments when it should have been the big twist for me. So those are just a little bit of negatives. I felt the story could have been stronger. And it ended when the story went back a bit. It made everything felt like a gonzo of fight scenes a bit. But and I could end it on that to then say, well, I'll jump to the good. That's just my little negatives.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, I have one more. Let me just get this out. Here's what it is. It's like when you're in the mood for the raid, though, this guy, he didn't bring in horror. He like brought in slasher into this.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's kind of like my mind was wanting the raid, and then there was so much violence, like I was watching Halloween, but I wouldn't say it felt like a horror. But this will be my final part on the negative, and I trust me, I got a lot of positives, I do. But the hit points, I'll call it, something was so off on what would kill a guy in this. It didn't make sense. It made me actually feel when that girl arrived in the elevator and she had her head weird, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's going to go supernatural and they're actually vampires or something, because she really struck me as that. I was like, that'd be cool if this was like a Dusk Till Dawn. They're all going to be like, you know what I mean? But it didn't do that. And there were some moments, it just was like, guys, like he's driving them in the underground garage. And it's like 30 dudes with AK-47s, and you're in a car going like this, and he like gets there, and he didn't get hit, barely, maybe in his shoulder. And it's like, okay, I'll let that one go. The next round, after he tells the girl like a little what she has to do, then he gets lit up. But it's like, wow, how could you let that go through where the guy like survived that? It made no sense. And then some of the things at the end, they're just so butchered that it loses. It's like putting a game. Do you know Game Genie for Nintendo? Like you could cheat on the games. Do you know how like suddenly the pits and everything isn't as scary if you can just jump over everything and you're safe? Yep. When the guys there's a moment at the end, he goes in his throat, rips, and it's like, okay, he's done. And then the guy lives for like 5 more minutes talking and stuff. It's like, oh, I don't know. There's something a little off on the hit points that it lost the oomph of it to me. You know what I mean?
That's interesting, I think, because I kind of see it the opposite way. Because when they are so indestructible in this film, I kind of get excited about what's going to kill them. I'm like, they're taking so much punishment. I'm like, what is it going to be that finally kills this person?
Right.
I know it's going to be big and special and gory and fucking crazy. So when I'm watching it, I'm like building up this excitement because they're just getting absolutely mauled. And I'm just waiting for the final kind of orgasmic moment where someone's head comes off or something. Yeah.
And I would just add that I think it can be, and we maybe did you a slight disservice by, in your mind, it's. I think I need to take probably responsibility for that, of in any way setting up that you thought you were walking into another experience like The Raid, because The Raid's kind of unashamedly, I would say, a martial arts movie as much as it is an action movie. Like they've taken great pains to try and do the Hong Kong thing with the way that they're framing and shooting action. Timo not really doing that, and I'd say he's more of an action filmmaker than he is a martial arts filmmaker. There are fight scenes in his movies, and sometimes they'll be heavily choreographed depending on who it is that he's working with at the time. But he first and foremost, I think, he's most interested in actors over performers. So he will quite often, and you see him evolving into this as his movies go on, where he'll find an actor that he really likes and he'll use the Matrix method. He'll train them up to get them comfortable enough with the choreography to believably sell it, right? Here he did have 2 very capable performers, like Joe Taslim's legit and incredible. I think it's judo that he was trained in, but got to do virtually no judo in the film. And then Iko didn't really get to do much of what Iko normally does. There's very little Penkat Silat in this movie. It's much more unhinged, much more frenetic, sort of crazy, demented fighting than it is kind of straight up action. And there's a brutality to it and a gore to it that is kind of very much Timo's thing. And it's kind of...
Well, that's what you threw me there, because you said he's known for action. When I went into this, you guys didn't tell me anything. I didn't even read one thing. I didn't even read the date. I just went in. But afterwards, when I start reading, I thought they said he was known for horror. I thought they said Timo.
He was.
He started with horror. Like his first couple of entries, and he made a film before this called Killers, which was just a straight up kind of horror slasher movie. And he's part of a sort of an anthology called VHS, which has done a couple of installments of it. And his
with Gareth Evans. one of them, and it was out of
the best segment.
Sorry, I'm gushing about horror for a second because I'm in my my horror. It's October. I watch a lot of horror. But, their segment in the VHS film is probably the best in the entire series.
Hands down. It's in VHS. I think it's in VHS 2. Do you remember the name of it?
Oh, it's one of those that I should know. And
dual directing?
Yeah, they co-direct.
That's something I've only learned in the past year, or us doing this, is that in America, you're not allowed to have two directors by the SAG.
Yeah, but you can't. It's not so much SAG as it's the DGA, it's the Directors Guild. So the people who have done it have generally opted to leave the DGA. The Wachowskis did it for The Matrix, and I think the Coens were doing it for a while, but then the Coens wanted to end up joining the DGA, and so then they would start, I think, taking it in turns. I can't remember exactly, but I think they would switch around. His segment,
separate ways entirely.
I'm going to put a pin in my positives because I don't want to hang it on all my
safe haven, Shaun.
Safe haven. That's yes. Sorry, Jason. Please give us the good.
Yes.
So there is so much good in here. First off, on Iko and Joe Taslim, they are really, really good actors, and I mean to the point where I saw a lot of maturity in Iko from the Raid. Like I don't know how many movies he did, but he came in the Raid. He has a little bit of a baby face, and he plays that like Ralph Macchio, like in a real innocence to his look. But he just seemed a little more weathered, a little more like up for it, and could play both angles. Like it's a little more believable. And not that it wasn't before, because he was just straight heroic in the Raid, as far as I remember.
Yeah, legit.
So the acting is so good. Even when he went to English, I thought maybe it would like stumble, just as good as when he's doing his native language. And I do feel I'm being drawn more to Joe, though. Something about him is just...
I kind of felt you might be.
He's just so great.
He's a man's man.
So I'll say the acting is amazing. And there are moments in some of these fight scenes where it is like the best thing I've ever seen. There's moments when those girls are out on the balcony. It is like, holy crap. And that's where it dipped to my negative. Like, I just wish the stakes felt higher. It just felt like you could just show someone, hey, watch this fight scene, but I still need that, like, there was something where Joe was like pawning the girl off so much that I kind of wished he had her the whole time, and it was more of like the two of them on the run. That said, though, some of those scenes, and there's one I watched like 3 times. This move where Joe and Iko, they have all this stuff like they have to get around. I don't even know what it is. They're just at the end fight scene, and they grab each other and they do like this crazy flip
over the pipes,
talking
like the pipes and everything
over something in the middle. And I could not even believe it is executed so great. I'll say the butcher scene, that 3 girls fighting scene with the piano, or not, I don't know if it's piano wire, but it looks like that wire. That. And the finale, of course, some of the best like choreography I've ever seen. But it is also strange because it's kind of like if Freddy and Jason from Friday the 13th were fighting. It's like a slasher fight. It's not just that's the thing in Chang-Chi movies. It's like they beat the living crap out of each other. The hero is going to be able to be gutted and go longer. But they don't just maybe there's some early ones in like the T-Lung era. There's tons of hacking when it's like the knives. But this was like, I could not believe the amount of, what was it? The other one, that guy, what's his name? He's really cool. George, maybe? Is that his name earlier on? The guy they call him Uncle, he kind of sacrifices himself.
The crazy Uncle Bobby.
Bobby.
White boy Bobby?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man, tell me he goes off and does his own one like this or something, because he had an energy like he needs his own nobody. You know what I mean? No, but, there's one moment, I think it's him in the kitchen just gets stabbed through, and it's like he goes for, it's like, I don't know. It's cool. It's not the dip to my negative. That sometimes threw me out of it. But that said, there are some of the best sequences ever put to film. I will say that in this, and it has some of the great gore, really, really well done, seamless gore and stuff. Not like, when you in that 80s stuff, you could see like even Steven Seagal where they bring in the fake arm to break. This was so seamless on a lot of that.
And all practical.
And great cinematography, so good. I guess the one thing on the cinematography is sometimes when they pull out a bit, I could see more of the choreography on them. I think that's what I saw in the opening one on Iko. Some of the takes they used where it's like, I saw it in the Raid a little bit. You could see the guys like, it's not, I feel like the takes weren't always the best. So what I would say on that is like, my only point is some movies you could use all the best takes and there'll be no scene where you could see like a guy choreography. This had like, I could see just a little bit of the execution. Would never call it sloppy. I just sometimes felt like I was pulled out for a second or something in some of the early fights.
I think maybe part of that is because of the context of what was happening in that scene, because it's not like he's going up against, or it's not supposed to be that he's going up against a bunch of very skilled fighters. He basically loses his temper and slaughters a whole bunch of dudes. He's off doing like a business deal in Macau, I think, at that point. So it's meant to be all Chinese guys that he's going up against, and he just essentially just savages his way out of the room. And the bottle's your first kind of indicator that this might not be the sort of thing that we're used to seeing in the type of films that we've covered before. Where it's borderline sadistic, but I think it never goes across that line into like becoming torture porn, where it always manages to kind of stay on the right side of kind of making it being driven by the action. I'm glad that you mentioned the girl, because the original plan, and I think we've maybe gone too long now, but never say never. His plan was to make a trilogy of these movies. There was going to be 3. And so I think a big part of some of the stuff in the story that maybe doesn't resonate with you or maybe feels a little bit off is I feel a lot of it's being set up, and particularly the second movie, if it had gone ahead, was going to be all about the operator, which is Julia Stiles' character.
The operator, wasn't it?
Yeah, the girl in the motorbike helmet.
Oh,
right?
Dragon, you have to continue, but that's the other thing. She needs also a million offshoots. She is so, I felt like she was a little underdeveloped though. Like I don't want to like be a negative Nancy on this movie. There was so much magic to her look, her everything about her screen presence, everything, but it just kind of got lost in the 6 C's and stuff, like where it just was like, wait, is she one of them, or you know?
Like, you know what? I hate to say it, they do that to Julia Stiles in every single action
Sadly
film.
So. Yeah,
she's in the raid. She's in the Raid 2 and gets no backstory whatsoever, and she's in Headshot and barely gets any backstory.
I was hoping like Dragon was going to go, oh no, she has her own 2 series, 2 seasons, and it's the operator. And why does John Wick get what's it called? Cyrodiil? What's that hotel one?
Oh, the Continental. Oh, that was it gets ballerina.
Right, but they at least tried that. But we need the operator, you know. We need
that was the plan. But I think what's maybe more likely at this point, because he did meet with like Timo is unlike a lot of other directors, he's a social media addict and a Twitter addict especially. So he's very accessible. You can tweet at him, and if you say something nice to him, he'll say something back to you, or he'll at least like your tweet or whatever. If you say something, the director. And if you say something nasty, he'll come after you and slap you for whatever it is. But she comes up quite a lot, and he'd met with her recently because there's a film which we will definitely get to at some point called The Shadow Strays, which is his most recent non-American movie, and he's written 2 more scripts which are already in the bag for that. And he mentioned that he met Julia Stiles recently, and I think she was in or out. He dressed her back up again in the outfit from The Night Comes for Us, and she posted it too and had said like, oh, it still fits, because she's had a kid, I think, or maybe 2 kids since
she did.
And so she was sort of like showing that she could still get into it, and he was saying that she's still got it, because she's not a martial artist. She was trained by Eco's team for the Raid 2, and we will get to the Raid 2 as well. And I'm quite glad in a way that we did this before we do the Raid 2, because you're now when you see Julia Stiles in the Raid 2, I think you're going to get excited for a whole, because you kind of know what you've seen around this.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. I was there was maybe slight moments in that apartment scene with the 3 of them where for a second I felt maybe you could see, but no, they really framed all that well, that she looked, I mean, kind of similar, I guess, to like how Zhang Ziyi in Crouching Tiger, that if you weren't told that she was a dancer and had never done it, like she was elevated perfectly. Like it was great.
Really well. And some of the little gadget tricks in her sequences, especially with like the C4 on the walls and stuff, is all very, very cool.
That entire fight is, in my opinion, the best sequence in the entire film, I think.
Yeah.
Her against the other ladies, it's incredible. It's such a fantastic sequence, and so long, and so just gloriously violent. And I think, in my opinion, so if I can talk about me watching this film for a second, I think
we should make the rounds. Like we should do that's kind of like my positive. Sean, tell us maybe like your history if you want to, and you know.
Yeah, honestly, the history with this film is very, very simple. I'd never heard of Timo either. Granted, I'd known of Killers. I think I'd watched Killers, but Timo wasn't really on my radar. Then they announced this film, and I was like, oh, Joe Taslim's in it. I liked him in The Raid. Let's give this a go. And then all of a sudden the trailer dropped, and it was just like, hold on, this seems really interesting. The rest is history, of course. I watched it and absolutely loved it. I've watched it, I think, probably 4 times in total since it's come out. And you can watch this film 2 distinct ways, I think. One is you can watch this film as like a sprawling crime epic with plenty of action beats, and it's a very interesting story. It's not necessarily the most dense story in the world. It is very simple to follow, but it's an interesting story. Reminds me a bit of Havoc. Havoc like doesn't have the greatest story in the world, but it plays well to the world that the director is trying to craft. Or you can watch this film as just a highlight reel of action sequences and forget the fucking plot. This time around, I obviously knew the plot. I kind of just scrapped the plot. I watched it, I still paid attention. It's not like I fast forwarded through it or anything. I watched it, but I watched it as a highlight reel of just boom, 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 action after action. And it's glorious. It's kind of, me personally, it's everything I want. And I would genuinely call this film a horror action. I'm not sure I'd call it a martial arts film, because I was watching the fights in this, and they're really just like brawl-like. They have sweeps and punches and grabs and things like that, but they're very brawly and very, like you said, Dragon, earlier, just brutal. They just brutalize each other. And I think the horror element mixed with that, and I'm honestly close to saying this may be the only horror action that's ever been made. Now, we've got to be very kind of careful here, because when I say horror action, I mean where the action takes precedent over the horror, and I'm not talking about like classic kung fu. I'm talking about modern action.
But you're also, I was going to say, you're also not talking classic horror. I think you might mean slasher, because it doesn't have, because what it is, not like, I want you to continue, but I just want to say horror is more like I saw The Devil, because it has that like
psychological element.
Yes.
Yeah. This has the, like, it reminds me of more like Freddy vs. Jason, or like the cuts, like those crazy, like horror, like slasher elements,
You're absolutely right. I think Dragon got probably closest to kind of saying it before, that it's kind of almost torture porn, but when you watch torture porn, you kind of feel down and bad and like, oh, this is kind of fucked up. You watch this and you're kind of rooting for the gore in a way. You want to see what the next extreme thing he's going to do is. And I think Timo does that perfectly. I think he brings the audience along on this kind of visceral, violent journey, but he never takes it to a level where it's like, oh no, that's too much, that's too graphic. There's no sexual violence, like extreme sexual violence or anything like that. It's not tasteful, but he does it in a very, very clever way.
His heart is still there in a way. Because I would have, because I was worried I was going to have to come to you guys and really, where it almost lost me right out the gates, is if he had shot the girl, it would have felt like too torture porn out the gates for me. It's like, because sometimes these are so like, in the realism makes it so visceral, because we do a lot of Chang Chehs and all that. There's like a theater element to this, but this having that realism, the look of that, and it's just something when he was about to shoot the girl, it's like, oh, if he shoots the girl, it's like, we get it. It's like, but of course then the heart came into it, but continue, Shaun. But I was saying, like, he saved me a bit, because I was worried that was just going to be like already too far,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he just rides that wave perfectly. And watching this film, after I was done, I was like, okay, I've settled with this film now. I've seen it 4 or 5 times, however many. Now it's time to make my final choice. And I think I prefer The Shadow Strays to The Night Comes For Us. I didn't think I would. Before I went into watching it this time, I was just like, oh, I'm going to prefer The Night Comes For Us by a mile. And I like that The Shadow Strays is kind of more comic booky in a way. It's kind of more over the top.
More interesting world as well.
Yeah, and I like that. Also, let's be honest, I don't want to talk too much about Shadow Strays, because obviously
don't spoil too much on it.
I'm not going to spoil, but this isn't a spoiler at all. It's The Shadow Strays is a more polished film. It's more definitely more polished.
He's
The Night
made 4
Comes For Us-
movies between, you know.
Yeah, if you pay attention to The Night Comes For Us, you can see where the budget is seriously stretched. I mean, at times those guns look straight out of a toy store. Sometimes
think they were.
And the fire scene, I have to say, was a little. I don't know. It seemed. I've seen a lot of those scenes where you can't, like in Drunken Master 2, you can kind of tell that Jackie got in the suit. I felt the suits were kind of obvious to me, a little too obvious, I thought.
I think, but on that note, I think that's a bonus for the film. I think the fact that Timo can overcome budget constraints and overcome like having cheaper looking things, or not that the film looks cheap, but just aspects of it. But the fact that he can just destroy all this not negativity, but potential problem with this film by just giving us raw, beautiful, exquisite violence. And as someone
it's almost like an Evil Dead thing, like how Evil Dead had like no budget and he can.
You nail it. Granted, it's not that much low budget, but you've absolutely nailed it there. He just knows how to work with what he has. And as just a straight action fest, I adore this film. As a horror fan, as someone who grew up on like brutal slashers, I adore it. Not quite as much as The Shadow Strays, but love it.
No, good.
Do you know what the budget for this was, Shaun?
Do you know what? I bet it's crazy. I bet it's $1 million.
Let me
close.
guess.
Go for it.
I'm gonna say $2 million.
You're spot on. Yeah, it's $2 million. $2 million.
Wow. I was going to say 1.5, but some of those scenes you needed more. You know, there was like a lot going on.
Yeah, I think by the time he gets to the Shadow Strays, he had close to. Hasn't completely confirmed for it, but he alluded to the fact that it was 4 or 5 times more. So I think he's probably close to 10 for the Shadow Strays. So they had to go to a lot of places.
Is this something that they make for $2 million and they present to Netflix, or Netflix were like, we're going to try you and give you $2 million?
In the case of this, yes, they made this independently and then Netflix bought it very quickly. But Netflix bought it after it debuted at one of the film festivals. I think it might have been Toronto, and picked up for worldwide distribution and snapped up. With the case of the Shadow Strays and the Big Four, that's the only other ones he made in between. They're both Netflix funded. So the Big Four is him doing action comedy,
which is also good.
It's really good fun.
A very good film. Yeah.
But it's got the gore and the slasher elements dialed way down. And then the Shadow Strays is him returning to this sort of mix of action and violence, but with also this very kind of mystical, not mystical, it's the wrong choice of word, this very mysterious world of like modern ninja assassins. Yeah. That's very wonderful. And yes, great. But he is a much more rounded filmmaker. I think Headshot was his first film solo, because when he made his earlier movie, The Killers, was with another director, right? They're called the Moe Brothers, I think, at that point.
Moe Brothers.
And then he made Headshot as his first sort of standalone movie as a director, and then he made this. So he's still kind of finding his teeth, and he's still a pretty young dude. Yeah. Even now, he's still a pretty young dude, but he's really interesting. Sorry, anyway, Shaun, back to you.
No. I think I said my piece. I agree with you though. He's come so far in so few films, and it's obvious that he's just going from strength to strength. And even Nobody too. That it's a solid film. But you can even see his evolution as a director in that, and like you can see that when he's given a bigger budget, he's like, okay, I can really fucking go a bit crazy. And I just like that he does what he wants to do. Which I really like that about him. I can't see Timo ever, like, I don't know, doing like a romance film or something, maybe, but he just seems to do what he loves, and at no point does he sacrifice like any of his integrity or any of his vision. He loves horror, he loves action, and he just loves putting it out. And the one thing I love about him is he's so eager to dive back into his own worlds. Which his audience are. We've all seen The Shadow Stray. Well, obviously, Jason, you will see it, but most of us who have seen it want to dive back into the world. We want a sequel immediately, but he wants it as much as us. So, yeah. Anyway, this Night Comes For Us. Great.
And for me, I didn't see the trailer. I went into this one originally completely cold. I had seen Headshot before, because at that point, the draw for me, when I saw this movie, I hadn't even made the connection. It was the same director as The Night Comes For Us when I first saw it. I was seeing it because of Eco. Because I basically was kind of jumping straight on anything that he'd done after the 2 Raid movies. And I think I managed to get Headshot first, and then saw this. And
when did you see Marantau? Sorry to interrupt. Whenabouts did you see Marantau?
Way after Marantau. I saw
really?
way after. Like after, I think I saw Marantau even after this.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, it was really hard for me to get. I had to import it from the States. It never got released over here. And Marantau is pretty good fun. Marantau Shaun is the not Shaun. Marantau Jason is the movie that first.
I'm aware before the raid, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm wondering if I kind of would like that one because
I think you would.
If I'm craving more story and I feel it's not that I need less of that, I just need a little more weight to the fight scenes. I believe a little more substance that makes them. But you guys describe that as being a lack of action, maybe though, right?
It's slower in places because they had less money and less resources, and they're still kind of finding their way. But when the action does come around, it's like Ong Bak put through a CLAT lens. Yeah. So have you seen Ong Bak, Jason?
I own it. I've always been resistant to watching it for some reason. I don't know why.
What?
Okay, well, on the list.
That's the era because there was people twisting my arm back then on Old Boy, Kung Fu Hustle. I was grasping onto Lau Kar-Leung's legs like, no, I can't be. It was what was it? It was a Old Boy, Kung Fu Hustle, and I think Ong Bak. I think I actually even own Ong Bak on DVD, but I just never put it in. I know it's like a sensation. It's just the hype was so big, and I needed you dudes to like transition me over into
the other two that you mentioned. Have you watched Old Boy and have you watched Kung Fu Hustle?
I did see Kung Fu Hustle, and I did like that. I did enjoy that. It was kind of that was like whoa. I mean, that was a big jump from what I was used to. I did. You don't love that. I've seen you comment that you consider it a comedy and not a kung fu movie. Okay.
100%. Yeah.
And
not
then
against comedies. I love comedies.
Old Boy. I watched like. I feel bad because I know that's so cherished. I know Dragon at one point you had like all these copies of it and stuff. But I watched the beginning. Something he was eating like a tentacle in a subway, and I kind of didn't go back to it. I can't remember. He was eating an octopus or something. I don't know. I feel bad, guys. I feel like I'm in confession, like in the Catholic Church, and you guys are like you're like you will be forgiven. But
my wife.
This is you confessing your sins.
My wife hates Old Boy.
Who does?
My wife.
Oh, your wife.
She despised it.
Interesting. I think I'd be more. This is the interventions are working because that's the other biggest positive is I want more. I just want a little more story, but this really makes me it. It's basically like a modern video game. Like you feel the parameters on all the old school, and it tries its best. Like when you see like Human Lanterns, it gets pushed to the edges and stuff of the old school style. But this. It's so, I think that's why the realism, the cringiness of it, because the violence, it can just go so many different directions that it's exciting. I do want to see these other ones. So in no way are the interventions failing if I have a mixed bag feeling, you know?
I think the pieces of Jason are slowly slotting together and they're just pointing towards the raid too. I think everything he's saying just makes me think, oh, you're gonna love the raid too.
Because see where you guys, Dragon, I want to get right back to you. But see where you guys have taken me. You have the raid, which is almost like a set piece in a way. Like you know how if you took Die Hard out of the building, it would lose like half. Like the raid has so much like a comfort zone of it being in there.
Yeah.
Then I saw the Devil is so bonkers, scary, like creepy, beyond violent. All that very different than the raid, but kind of to me similar. I'm not sure why.
I'm putting that down to the fact that they're both shot with pretty modern cameras and quite similar film stocks, and I think you're resonating with them on a how they're looking to your eyes dynamic more than them being similar, like thematically.
Right, and then you throw to this. And this felt kind of a mix. And this is why I kind of said slasher, because it dropped the horror and brought in just the violence of I Saw the Devil, brought in the fight scenes of the raid. And of course, you're going to think of the raid because of the two actors, they're the main guys. Of course, yeah. You know, I think that's also why the raid didn't need the story because of the set piece. When it's a horror and you're scared, you know, that's like almost like a No Country for Old Men on steroids or something, you know, because it's a guy chasing another.
Yeah, you're building tension the whole time.
Right. And then that maybe was missing in this, the tension a bit too, you know? But I will say it's kind of like a nice mix on this. I got the violence, I got the awesome fight scenes, and it did have that Interest. I got some throwbacks to like Heroic Bloodshed too, of the John Woo.
Oh yeah,
because they like to just shoot each other and then they keep going and keep shooting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And also in the bond between him and his friends, right? Yeah. Even though, because I think one thing we've not mentioned about the story beat, the fact that really that little girl is Joe Taslim's character's redemption. Like, she's his route back, because he starts the movie, the beginning of the film, he's straight up a villain, right? He's a member of a really bad bunch of dudes that are just going around slaughtering entire villages, and he's fully been doing that for like the last 6 years. So for the last 6 years, he's been every bit as bad as every one of the bad dudes that he kills in this movie. The thing that brings him back is that line that he won't cross. He won't shoot that little girl.
She's the last bit of good, like in him.
Yeah,
like she's a visualization of the last bit of good in him.
And he doesn't, for a good chunk of the movie, doesn't know how to handle it. And Jason, you mentioned that he keeps pawning her off on people. Absolutely he does, because he doesn't know how on earth to even begin dealing with that, right? And as the film goes on, he slowly starts warming to her more and more. And she starts pulling him back to, I guess, to his own humanity at various points in the film. And ultimately, at a certain point, it becomes about the spoiler for the end, but it becomes a bit of a self-sacrifice for him to just make sure that she makes it to the boat and makes it away, and then we don't really know. He's left it open, so there's a good chance he doesn't. Yeah, potentially, and I think part 2 is going to lean into the operator. As Shaun says, it was going to be called Night of the Operator. There is a deleted scene when you see her going back to like her, I guess, her handler / arms dealer to kind of restock. That he cut from the movie that kind of speaks to the fact that there's maybe something else going on, like another group that's working against the 6 Seas that she's possibly a part of. So there was a suggestion of more going on there, but I don't know how much he'd kind of fully formed it out. But Shaun's absolutely right. I think all these things that you crave, a lot of that you're going to find in the Raid 2, because the Raid 2 does have to take out that building. He knew he couldn't just rinse and repeat what he did in the first Raid movie. And so he had to take that character out into a bigger world. So he had to create this other, more complicated world around him. And oddly, it was written before the Raid. Like, he couldn't get the money to make what we think of now as the Raid 2. And because they were getting so frustrated with trying to get the funding together for it, they very quickly went off with the same crew or the same cast that he envisaged using. And he made what we now think of as being the Raid 1. And off the success of that, they then got the money to make the movie that he'd originally wanted to make, which was the Raid 2. So
but he hadn't filmed. He didn't film the whole second one, though, right?
He hadn't started. He hadn't started filming.
Oh, okay.
They couldn't get money for it, and I think it's a much more ambitious, much more layered, much bigger cast. There's a lot more going on. It's not the case that Eco's driving the entire movie, because Eco's in almost every single scene in the first Raid movie, and is able to carry the film on his shoulders. But by the time you come around to the second one, there's a good chunk of the movie that he's not in. There's other characters are kind of driving the story onward into kind of ever more interesting places. And that's where certainly the first time I saw Julia Estelle, our motorcycle helmet wearing girl from The Night Comes For Us, and she's makes a very big impression. But at that point, she'd done virtually no acting. I think she was just a model.
She was a model,
and was trained up by Eco's team to do the choreography that she does in the first one. And she does some amazing shit. She's part of a very intriguing double act in the Raid 2, where it's not just her. She's working with somebody else, and he's equally as entertaining in very different ways.
Her partner in the Raid 2, who I won't reveal anything about, but her partner is also a fight choreographer for The Night Comes For Us. That's Islan, is it? Is that his name? His first name is Very, Very, and I think middle name is Tri. I think I'm just pulling it up now. Very Ulis man. Yeah, that's him.
Hey, Dragon, you just want to tell us more about how you first saw it? And
I think probably through Netflix, and after seeing Headshot, I think I came to first. I think I had a DVD of Headshot before I got the Blu-ray, because Headshot did get picked up by Arrow over here, so there was like an Arrow release of Headshot quite early on, and then not too long after seeing Headshot, I saw The Night Comes For Us, and initially, I think maybe it took me probably second watch for me to. I think on first viewing, I resonated a little bit more with Headshot, because I was coming into it for Eco, and Headshot, which we'll probably add to the list as well at some point. Headshot's much more of an Eco movie, Like he's the main character in it. He's the driving force of the narrative. And so coming into this, it's the first time seeing him play kind of a baddie, because he's not really a heroic. He does some helpful things at certain points in this movie, but ultimately his ambition is his downfall. He's wanting to be one of the 6 C's, so he's kind of a bad dude. And I didn't know how I felt about that when I watched it the first time round. Now I'm a little bit older and a bit wiser. That doesn't faze me at all, and I think I actually like seeing him get to flex a little bit more and not just be the same type of character that we saw him play in The Raid. And to a certain degree in Headshot 2, he's still criminally underused anytime he makes a movie in the West, but that's no surprise. Well, he started his own production company. He's been making a bunch of movies.
Film coming out, right?
Yeah, quite a few. There's one that he's directed in and he's in.
That's the military actioner called like Teamer or Team. Yeah, I can't remember
there's
the name.
3 others that he's produced and had done all the action direction for that are coming out through his studio.
That's exciting.
He's been a busy dude.
Who was Snake Eyes out of these guys?
Snake Eyes was action directed by Kenji Tanigaki, but it was cut to ribbons. They cut his choreography to ribbons. Because when you look at their previs for the fights, it looks incredible. It looks like you're going to be in for the best time. And then when you saw the end result, it was very disappointing.
I still like that film.
It's got its moments, right?
It's not a terrible film, but it is a real shame that the action is so fucking cut to shreds.
Yeah, and I weirdly kind of preferred. I liked it when Lee Byung-hun was Storm Shadow. As bad as those other G.I. Joe movies were, I thought he was really good casting because
he has some decent.
But I thought one of these guys. I thought one of these. No one was in G.I. Joe.
Iko always was Blind Master, or what's his name?
So you're right. Yeah, he did have a small cameo as like one of the sort of training teachers, and Joe Taslim's in Mortal Kombat and
Fast and Furious 28 or whichever one he's in.
Is he in one of the Fast and Furious as well?
He is, yeah.
And
he plays like a henchman who has like a brief fight where he just beats the shit out of everyone, and then you barely see him ever again. Yeah, he's great. I love Joe Taslim. He deserves more shine as well, like more English language shine. Because he could be a great leading man. I know he's considered. He's probably in his 50s now, right?
I don't know if he's as old as that. I think he's probably younger than us.
Okay.
People depressing.
It's funny though, being a Netflix. It's strange being a Netflix movie. I keep saying, "Oh, I'll tell you how you first saw it." It's kind of like you only can see on Netflix. But I think when Dragon also threw me, you said you saw a deleted scene. So would you just go to YouTube and he put it there or something?
Timo posted the deleted scene on his Twitter. I think it is on YouTube.
Because it's just strange to not. Oh, go ahead.
He's 44.
44. Okay. Whippersnapper.
Yeah. Sorry, Jason, on you go.
No, I was just saying it's strange to not have a Blu-ray. It's just a weird feeling on it, It's kind of like I was craving the commentary. I wanted to get more insights. The other thing is I didn't watch it a second time. I wanted to just go with my initial gut, but maybe hearing you saying the second time you saw it in a different way, Dragon, I think I might have a different appreciation because I wasn't sure which direction I was being pulled, kind of,
I think you'll relax into it more in the second viewing because you kind of know where it's going to go. Yeah, and you can just look out for, you can just watch
amazing moments
later on. Yeah, you can watch
it up the violence.
Yeah. I just appreciate how well done some of those practical gore effects are, and how well they integrate into the fights when they use them. Particularly the fight between the two girls and. She loses a bit of her finger.
Oh, that was so cool. That was so weird.
The blade in the arm and then the tear down the arm. That's the bit that gets me. I'm just like, oh my God.
And early on, she the first time you kind of see her using that weapon, she almost cleaves the guy's hand off. Yeah, she kind of first encounters. Yeah.
It's great. The violence is. The violence is actually genuinely creative as well. There's stuff in this film that you just wouldn't expect, even from hanging a guy on a butcher's hook. I know it's done in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but you just don't expect it in an action film.
Yeah, and the pool balls ripping off the net from the pool table,
smashes the head in. Yeah. It's good stuff.
The little shotgun sequence when he does kind of start switching to firearms, that's done beautifully well too.
Yeah.
And, all of it. He's got a very, very good eye for creatively staging scenes, particularly with how he shoots them. And the cinematographer hadn't really done that much action stuff between. So it's a cinematographer from Killers that he brought back to work on this. And I think he's then subsequently gone on to work with him on every film since, but he didn't work on. I don't think his cinematographer worked on the Raid movies, and he didn't work on Headshot. I kind of feel like it might have been. I'm sure I had to double check, but I think it might have been the cinematographer from the Raid who did Headshot, because at that point it was still quite a close collective. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, all in all, just a great time, and one that I continue to enjoy each time that I watch it more and more. And I think the Shadow Strays, I'm in the same boat as you, Shaun. I prefer the Shadow Strays over this.
Great. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether you would.
But they're different. They're kind of different sort of animals, and they scratch a different sort of itch for me.
Agreed.
So they're both really good movies, but I find that the world that the Shadow Strays made just feeds into all the stuff that I love so much more. And
me too.
Particularly in regard to, I've got a big thing for ninjas. Always have done growing up, and was always so disappointed by the American ninja movies. Not just the ones called American Ninja, but even some of the Shokasugi stuff. I kind of knew that I was watching someone with his wings clipped. So like my favorite Shokasugi movie is still his little cameo in Ninja Assassin, because he gets to do really good actual acting as like a pretty intense, scary villain in a movie that's got some genuinely really good action in it, which was sometimes a bit lacking. It was just always the fact that he was going up against like hillbillies and tight jeans and a baseball cap and like a U-Haul pickup truck, and it was like, this doesn't feel quite right. So ninjas has always been a contentious thing, and particularly when you compare them back to the old Japanese ones. But all this chat's better saved for when we actually finally cover the Shadow Strays, which we're gonna do.
I was
and when you say ninja, that it's even selling to me more. I mean, it's going to be your guys' choice. You could surprise me too. That's another thing. Watching, so I was getting those cringes. I was like, oh, these guys are. I don't know if they're really trying to like up. I Saw the Devil. Just keep taking me to these realms of.
I think we think of it as different sort of places, like different flavors of ice cream, right? And
Definitely.
I Saw the Devil was us dipping you into Korean. I'd say not from even remotely thinking. I don't think me or Shaun, we didn't speak about it, but I don't think either of us thought, here's an action gem for us to give you. It was much more, here's a psychological thriller that's really good.
It's the Korean 7, I was thinking, basically.
I guess what I mean, though, Shaun, at the end will go, oh, well, we got your feet in the water. Now we're going to throw you into a pool of awful. You said that on the last one. Is so classic. Yeah. It is probably fun from your guy, because it really, it gave me some like uneasy feelings on it. It's like when I talk about those parameters, you could give me any Chang-Chi movie with any amount of violence, and I don't know. It's just, it's still my comfort food. It's like, even when you talk about that Shokasugi and those cheesy, I like the Indian, and it's like all that stuff. It just makes me feel it's not just nostalgia, just something about it kind of feels safe, But watching this, this realism, that's what it is. It's like you can watch. I guess it's the modern, and that's why these interventions are great. And I've said that it's just the realism of it that gets you into that mode. So when the violence comes in, you feel it almost like, it's like, and and this just kept up in the ante, just going and going, especially when they weren't like dying. And I think that's what he had fun with. It's kind of like you would see Jason versus Freddy, because normally, in a slasher movie, it's these kids in a thing. They can't fight back at all. You get like 3 hits and maybe a cool kill. This is like a 10-minute straightaway of a slasher movie, and then the amazing kill. The kill's almost like you said, it's awesome, but it's kind of usually just like a headshot or something that kind of finally put him out of his misery or something.
Sometimes. I mean, he uses it a different way depending on the context, and sometimes he'll give you a story beat to explain it away, like when Bobby gets shot the first couple of times and the other uncle thinks that he's been killed, but then he gets up and he pulls out the piece of metal, like kind of fistful of dollars style, and like throws that down, and you kind of understand basically that he's made himself bulletproof temporarily, and he's had one clip to the arm. But then I think he did that with the intention of knowing that he was going to kill him in the coolest way as a character introduction for one of the female fighters, the girl with the curved blade, right, and the blonde hair.
Oh, she's cool.
So you saw her kind of doing her thing for the first time and just like ripping through dudes. Yeah,
she needs to be in more stuff. She's fantastic.
Yeah, did you think she might have been a vampire when that opened, or something was going to go a little like
he's latched onto this vampire?
Oh, I'm telling you, well, here's why. Also, I don't fully get why it's the night comes for us, that phrase,
because it all happens in one night.
Does it? It's all in one night.
I mean, near enough.
Yeah.
Wait, well, isn't it? Wait, I'm trying to think. I thought it like had multiple days, and at the end they're out on the dock, and maybe I didn't put it all together. I couldn't figure out
from the time that he leaves to the time that they come from. It's pretty much, and there's some flashbacks in places, And they're a bit loosey goosey with some scenes that they obviously had to shoot at daytime, like when he's in the back of the police truck and things. But you did get a sense that the timeline was pretty compressed.
But that's what so that phrase is not kind of like vague on purpose. Like the night comes for us, you feel it's based, or is it open to interpretation? Or
I
guess so.
There's a metaphor there where Joe Taslim is the night, and the fact is, like, he's this dark kind of fucking I don't know,
Knight.
like, yeah, dark. I'm trying to fucking stay away from the Dark Knight. I'm trying to not make him Batman, but he's like this just brutalizer. He's this, like, again, spirit of vengeance, and he could be the night coming for them. I mean, it can be read in probably a number of different ways, but it also could just be Timo just loving his pretentious titles, because the Shadow Strays, while it does have a lot of relevance to the film, it's still a bit, up its own arse.
A wee bit, yeah. The only one that's really on the money is the Big Four, I guess.
The Big Four.
Kinda.
I mean, it makes perfect sense.
But it's comically so, because none of those characters really are. None of the four are that big. They're just a sort of this collection of fuck ups, in a sort of wonderful way that just managed to like stumble their way through action sequences. And it's a genuinely funny movie. We'll maybe add the Big Four. Maybe we'll end up doing all of Timo's movies. He hasn't done that many.
I was going to say we have to take Jason away from just extreme violence at some point.
Yeah, I need a little break on it. I don't know what it is. It's not that I can't take it. I want to be. I'll let you guys choose.
Different. You want variety, I think. Yeah. I
will say, jumping back to that, I swore it was going Dusk Till Dawn. Like that was going to be a split when they came out of that. I thought it was going to go into this crazy thing because she had such a weird look to her, and she felt like in Big Trouble in Little China, she already had the potion, like she was on this other level. And you knew she was coming in. So that's why I was like, oh, maybe this is the night comes for us. And when you both have been saying, oh, Jason, you wait, and we're throwing you to this awful, and they're coming out of the elevator. It's like, oh, here we go. Like,
you're expecting I was ready Salma Hayek with a snake.
Yes. I wish, but or Tom Savini with the gun or whatever, the gun belt.
Exactly. Sex machine. Yeah.
That was a Desperado gag that you just didn't have time to use in Desperado. And so just pulled it in for from Dusk Till Dawn. His little crotch gun.
Great Tom Savini. Yeah, great character. Also, I don't like that film.
I'm not a huge fan from Dusk Till Dawn.
I don't love it.
I like George Clooney's tattoo in it, but then I've seen it on too many people since that it's lost a bit of its meaning.
Yeah, I think I used to like it. It's the perfect example of a film that I loved as a teenager, and just as I grew up, I was just like, yeah, it's fine. It is.
As I grew up, I loved the documentary about the making of From Dusk Till Dawn more than the Full Tilt Boogie is very good. It's a great documentary about movie making. Yeah.
That scene, of course, with Salma did that stole the show. That it like for years after. I mean, that's what sticks out. I mean, was titillating.
Why else would Tarantino write himself into that scene and be like, "Well, unfortunately, you're gonna have to drink. I'm gonna have to drink off your thighs, calves, and feet."
Yeah,
but especially feet. Make sure.
Of course, especially feet. Yes, I forget it's Tarantino. Yeah, yeah. So
so when you guys think about what I'm kind of craving, would you lean more towards the Raid 2 or Shadow Strays you think next?
I think we should do the Raid 2 next.
100%
for intervention.
And I think basically we'll get to the Shadow Strays when we get to the Shadow Strays. And I think that there might be a few other bits and pieces in between that pop up that break the flow. So we're not just doing a solid run of Timo stuff. Much as that would be fine, but I think it'd be nice to, because we don't have that many of them, we'll savor them. Like a little fine after eight that you get occasionally after a special meal.
It's like the espresso at the end.
Some kind of curveball that will swing your way. Dragon, have you seen Tatsujin Warriors yet?
Oh yeah.
You have seen it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of it?
I thought it was good. I spotted that you thought it was like maybe your favorite action movie of the year. It wasn't. It didn't quite hit me that way. Ghost Killer for me is still my favorite from this year. Sense. Yeah. But
hold on.
I can see why you dug it.
Stop the press. So that beat Tornado.
Yeah, well, different sort of things. I'd say Tornado is my favorite cinema experience of the year, by a long shot, and one of my favorite like actual movies as a whole. But Tornado, not really an action movie. Tornado's got very little to no action in it. Really, it's kind of more of a chase movie and much more of a character piece. And really,
it must have been AI that lied to me.
I've got it. I haven't watched it.
Well, AI must have lied to me. I typed in because I was wanted to get that on the podcast, and I wanted to intervene myself because when you kept saying that,
I love it.
But what I typed into Google is I typed in is Tornado a martial arts movie, and it said yes. But AI could be way off,
I mean, it's not technically it's not wrong, but it's not an action movie in the way that what we've just watched is an action movie, because they had so little time. Like the Tornado's micro budget and really short shooting schedule. It's like 19 or 21 days or something, and they shot in wintertime in Scotland, which is basically like you can half your days because you're not getting much more than like 5 or 6 hours before it gets dark again. So they were up against the clock the whole time. And no, I just think Tornado is like a really well put together sort of dramatic thriller with a couple of action beats here and there.
I'm going to watch it tomorrow. I've got a day off work. I might actually watch it tomorrow.
You should. It's come back to me and let me know what you think about it. I love it.
Should I hold it off though for me for in case we do an intervention with it? Just wait.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be a slower pace. It'd be an interesting one for us to do because it'd be a much slower pace.
Well, that's what I'm kind of craving here, though. That's what I almost want to do, like a la carte. I kind of want to ask you guys, so if I'm craving more of Iko and Joe Taslim, I wanted more of a story for them and the twist to be more powerful. Mm-hmm. They told it through flashbacks a lot, and you got it later and you understood it. Is there one, and what's the one before the raid that's called
Miranda?
I wasn't sure if that, is there one that's maybe just has the action, but has more of a thriller, more like of a,
the raid.
Wow. The raid 2. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, okay. We're going back. That's cool.
I mean, we could find something else with action and kind of like a thrilling element to it, but it wouldn't fall in the same line as these Indonesian films.
No,
I mean, we could find a great Korean martial. We can do like Bittersweet
The Man from
Light.
Nowhere. Yeah, or The Man from Nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Which honestly, I think he'd love both.
Yeah, I agreed. Yeah, and also I think there's No Tears for the Dead too, which is kind of another one that's really kind of scratches that same itch as A Company Man, which is also kind of we could go and on and on and on and on.
Berlin File, all those ones. Yeah.
Escape from Mogadishu. Yeah,
Dragon.
If I can just talk about that film for a second. That film came and went, and no one talked about it. That film was fantastic. Escape from Mogadishu.
Yeah, it's
it was
phenomenal.
really, really good. Like no one talked about it.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
it's
fantastic.
Incredible. But that's like period set, telling a real life story of the Koreans having to pull out of a civil war that was going on in Mogadishu in Africa, and basically kind of a race to try and get out of the country before rebels overthrow the government. And they've kind of paid up protection to a very corrupt dictator who's leading the country, and then he's overthrown, and then all of a sudden it's like, fuck, we've really got to get out of the country.
Yeah,
so it's not really an action movie. It's got some action beats in it, but it's much more of a sort of very breakneck political drama with the most amazing acting. And the tension comes from the fact that the North Korean and the South Korean embassies ultimately have to try and work together to get out when they hate each other, are so diametrically opposed to each other the whole time, so suspicious of each other. And it's a wonderful movie. It's a beautiful. Did you get the plain archive edition of that came out?
I didn't. I can't remember how I watched. I don't even know how I've seen it.
I think it was streaming for a while. It was on Amazon Prime or Netflix or one of these two.
Yeah, I probably watched it there. But yeah, there's loads of like curveballs and interesting ways we could take you to other genres. Even something like, I was thinking, I'm just throwing out films now. Something like a Johnny Toe film, like Exiled or something like that, would be a really interesting change of pace.
Yeah, I love breaking news. Got a lot of time for breaking news.
Breaking news, exactly. So, but anyway, Jason's already sitting there going, "What the fuck are these guys talking about?" But anyway,
no, it's exciting.
Your oyster, I think, and the world is our oyster. There's a whole bunch of. Actually, let's do something interesting, listeners. If you have any films from what you know about Jason so far and his taste and what he does, what films he does know, what films he doesn't know. What films do you think we should have him watch? Depending on where you listen or watched it, or not watch this podcast, but where you listen, leave a comment on YouTube, leave a comment on
Instagram. They can write us.
Instagram, send it our way on Instagram. But yeah, let us know of a film you think we should have Jason watch, and maybe we'll get to it. Who knows?
That's a damn fine
to the audience. Why not?
Yeah.
For you two, talking about, I mean, I don't know what I would say. Maybe post 2010. Where does is this like a top 5 for you guys? I mean,
it's pretty high, but it's weird. I have a tendency to like segregate by country to a degree. So
That
it's
makes
definitely in my top 5 of Indonesians, probably in my top 3 of Indonesian films. But
Yes, me too.
it would take me longer to think about a placement if I had to put it up against movies from
I
South
just want to
Korea
get a
and from
sense.
Japan.
And I'll probably do that later a little more, because for me, it's like these 3 are what I have, and I'm sure later like the Korean one will separate a bit, because this feels all in the same bag to me a bit.
Kind of, but they're super different in a way that like Hong Kong action's very different to the action movies that are coming out of mainland China, even though the action movies now that are coming out of mainland China are tipping their hat to what was happening in Hong Kong. They're kind of different. They have a very different flavor and a different feel. Japanese is super different again, and has a very I keep coming back to. I'm going to do that thing that I always do every episode. I'm going to bring up Eric Jacobi's. He's so right, man. Like that was.
We need a little puppet we could bring up, like a little.
We really do. We made a little mini. The podcast sponsored by Eric Jacobi's, but he was so right. And I had never really thought about the cultural suggestion of the fact that language would dictate movement in the way that he breaks down the difference between an American punch, a Japanese punch, and a Hong Kong punch, and how linked in it is to language. And it's so fucking true. So it makes it really hard to compare, because you're not comparing like for like when you're looking at action movies from different countries. They can be inspired by each other, but they're always coming through this filter of their own
culture, language, just the impact of the country in general just feeds into how you have body movement, I guess.
Completely. Yeah. And how it unfolds.
It's fascinating because what the Japanese are doing right now with fight choreography is something so unique to them. And you can see aspects where I think Japan have been inspired by John Wick and the likes of that. But whereas Baby Assassins and is it Kensuke Sakamoto? No.
Kensuke Sonomura.
Kensuke Sonomura. The fact that I think he's taken the idea of what John Wick had and then put it through this kind of Japanese filter that I don't know where it's come from, but what he's doing.
I just did spoil. I did a video essay for a Baby Assassins release that's coming out quite soon, and so I had to dive deep into this. And from as much as I could trace it back, because it kind of started with the first film he directed in Hydra. You can kind of see him coming to terms with what would evolve into the Baby style in Hydra. And a lot of it came from a Japanese boxer called The Beast, who's like almost unbeaten. I think he might actually be unbeaten. His track record's phenomenal. If you watch his fights, he's incredible. And the way he moves, particularly, he's very, very fast. He's very precise in a way that I haven't really seen.
Is he very closed in? Like, is he?
Yeah, I mean, he basically looks like a lot of the stuff that you kind of see in Baby Assassins, right? And so it's wild watching his fights, and I think he's quite small, but so he's kind of constantly, I think, underestimated by other fighters that he goes up against, but then just dominates and just takes them down. So he basically pulled an awful lot from watching his fights and incorporated that into the movements of what he was doing with the babies. And they developed this thing in Hydra where they wanted to start being able to get hits that were going closer. So they stopped basically aiming for the point of contact to be the end of the fist. They started doing it to be the bottom of the wrist. So when they're punching, they
slide.
Yeah, and it means that everything has this incredible fluidity to it.
Yeah.
In the way that they kind of move. And he also sort of started incorporating bits and pieces of grappling. And so that they don't really look like they're using anything that you could, I guess in places, Jason, you might see some of it as looking like jiu-jitsu to you. I was
just, when you said that right there, I mean, that's what they teach. I fought MMA before, and when I was building up to the fights, you learn that it's a lot of, and you watch boxers do it all the time. They let stuff roll off their head, roll off their gloves, and, and even leaning back is like a bad idea in a lot of cases, So what you're talking about is, it's exactly. That's exciting, and it sounds real because that's because a lot of that got the Taekwondo blocks and all that kind of got out when Bruce Lee came and all that. But
that ties into Tatsujin Warriors because there's a guy. That's a new film that came out this year, Jason. It's a Japanese film by a guy called Koichi Sakamoto, and there's a Taekwondo fighter in it, and they do like this modern version of a Taekwondo fight, and it's fucking it's so new and fresh, and it keeps the same concepts of like flashy kicks in it, but it's just so good. So
that movie's wall-to-wall action. That's certainly the movie with the most action in it that I've seen this year.
And I'll just lap that up.
This must be a long year because, well, hold on. Your favorite movie was Baby Assassins 3 for a long time there. Was that 2024?
That was last year.
That was last year.
Because I feel like you guys, I feel like you guys keep usurping. Like there's declarations early on, like Dragon was like Tornado, and Shaun was like Baby Assassins 3, and it's fun to see what has toppled it a bit. Whatever one you mentioned a minute ago, well, it actually doesn't count because it's 2024. I thought Baby Assassins.
Ghost Killer for me this year, Ghost Killer's the next movie by the choreographer who did the Baby Assassins movies, the guy we were just talking about, Kensuke Sonomura, and it brings back his main actor from Hydra. And brings him back as like one of the leading men in Ghost Killer. So he's playing the killer who is the ghost, right? That's he's also in Prisoner of War, right? He just doesn't fight Scott Adkins, which had everyone pulling their hair out, going like, "Why? Why would you put him?" But anyway, no. So for me, and Ghost Killer. But I think there was another movie with choreography by the guy who worked on Tatsujin Warriors called Isolated that I enjoyed more.
People are right. Have you got that, Phil? Oh, we shouldn't talk about that.
We can talk after the stream.
Okay, I would love to talk to you about that.
Is that a spoiler for a potential?
Oh, we'll get there at some point. Yeah. Isolated, unbelievably, is it's the 67th movie in a series that's been running for about the last 20 years, I think. And I have not seen I might not be right with the exact number, but it's definitely in the high. It's definitely above 40, and I'm pretty sure it's above 60.
I really want to see that one.
Yakuza crime series films, right? But they weren't always action-centric. They were much more like low-budget, sort of almost felt like a TV show about Yakuza that just happened to be like movie length, but they totally felt like they were made for TV. Because I watched bits and pieces of some of the earlier movies. Isolated is not that. Isolated is very definitely like a side quest for one of the characters from these previous movies, and he's so fucking cool. Like he's effortlessly cool. He's an older guy, like he's probably the same age as us or maybe a bit older, and like heavily tattooed, like Yakuza tattooed, and basically he's just going to try and, this is not a spoiler because there's not really much of a plot to the film, but one of his Yakuza brothers, kind of the guy that he's basically the right hand man of the current head of this Yakuza sort of faction, that it's really doesn't seem like there's that big a squad, but his, I guess, boss / brother has gone missing, and his last known whereabouts have been this warehouse in the outskirts of town. So he gets taken to this warehouse, and then it just becomes a series of boss fights as he works his way through the warehouse.
Oh, that's
like, with in between the boss fights just being a massive group of like 20 dudes that you'll have to go up against, and then it'll be another fighter using a different method. Like there's a Muay Thai guy, and there's like a Chinese
Sounds like game of death, right?
Yeah, kind of, but just through a warehouse, right? And
not going up.
I think it's more going down, actually. It's more like a descent into different sort of stages of hell, I guess. But he's so cool, man. And a lot of the movie is shot in black and white and works so well. And it's just, the choreography is really, really good. But yeah, it's unbelievably good.
Does it feel
that more than Tatsujin Warriors?
Interesting. That's the one I'm looking forward to, but I have not been able to get my hands on it yet, sadly.
We'll talk.
Okay. What I wanted to throw in, the interesting thing about when you talk about MMA and what works, they broke it down initially into like boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu is pretty much what mixed martial arts is. But it's funny that when you get those elements down, and then the guys who knew karate amazingly also learned that. You had Anderson Silva and Lyoto Machida when he came in. It was so cool because they had the wrestling and stuff, so they could start doing the karate moves. And it was just amazing to see that. It was just cool because I never thought you'd see straight up karate moves working in like a UFC fight. But since they had that base, they could cancel out the takedowns, they could do all that, and then just launch into a straight, like perfect form karate move to knock some guy out. It's like, that's awesome.
Yeah. You still see it a little bit with occasional people who've done kickboxing. You can occasionally get a kickboxer that's like able to kind of strike from a distance. And if they can, there's that one girl she's tiny, but she's been winning a bunch of fights, just almost button mashing one move, where she's just doing one same kick over and over again.
Is she from China?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember her name offhand.
Yeah, me neither. but I've
Yeah.
seen a couple of clips of her fights, and it almost looks
yeah.
like she's taking the piss. But the more that I checked into it, I realized that in order for her to get to that point, she'd won doing everything else, and it was almost just now. You see her training one leg relentlessly for like 3 months.
One kick 10,000 times. Bruce Lee said it, didn't he?
Exactly.
It's that exactly, dude.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited to see also some more of that, though, to see some more realistic. I'm trying to think which one struck me. There was what movie? There were some things in Nobody that was interesting too. I love when you see like jujitsu moves thrown in. It's really interesting because you often won't see it when there's a lot of guys at once, because when you're doing an arm bar, the guys are just going to kick your head in on the ground. So
well, Hydra does that very well. Hydra has fights of like 10 people all doing like grabbing moves and grapple moves at the same time, and it's just a mass of bodies.
Bad City. That's Bad City.
Bad City. Sorry, not Havoc. Bad City.
Hydra's more one-on-one fights.
I love Hydra. It's
much lower
so
budget.
Good.
But I think before we get to Baby Assassins and stuff, we're probably going to have to go back in time a little bit, because we haven't really. Have we done anything from Japan yet? I don't think we have.
We're gonna.
Besides, not Intervention, so Shogun Assassin, but that's more in the old school.
That's true.
Yeah.
I actually forgot we've done that. So yeah, we have done Japan, but I think we need something in between. So I think we'd probably go back to Sonny Chiba first, something from Sonny Chiba's back catalogue, and then.
Yeah, the only Sonny Chiba I've seen is the Street Fighter, and for some reason in my mind, that doesn't always just strike me as a Japanese movie through and through, because he has all those Bruceisms and everything.
He's doing a lot of it's almost borderline a Bruceploitation movie.
Honestly, it really is.
So you can see in my mind, like when I'm thinking of Japanese movies I've seen, it doesn't go to the Street Fighter for some reason. But I absolutely love the Street Fighter. I love it, especially in the original language, because I used to always watch it in the dub. And just his voice, that growl, assuming that's his real voice, because I know a lot of the Shaw Brothers ones aren't the real voice.
I don't think it's him overdubbing at that point. I think
that's a bummer.
The only time you hear his real voice that I'm aware of is for definite
Kill Bill.
in Kill Bill. Yeah.
Oh man! Well, whoever does it, there's a lot of oomph to that voice. I like it.
Yeah.
It's great. Although I do prefer Sister Street Fighter to the Street Fighter.
That was what I was going to suggest that we.
Well, I have that. I have that too on my watch pile.
Sister Street Fighter is an absolute riot. It's such a good film.
Yeah,
bizarre.
I think.
Well, can we officially put that on the list? Because I know we have the list is growing. I got Shanghai 13 here. Yeah, I know.
Although I will say I am not that familiar with Sonny Chiba. I've only seen about 4 Sonny Chiba films, and I've only seen one Etsuko Shihomi film, which is Sister Street Fighter. I haven't seen any more of her films. But you
didn't see the trilogy of the Sister Street Fighters?
There's more than that. There's 4. There might even be 5.
Do they all kind of hang up or hang at they're as good as the other ones?
Yeah. Because
cool.
Sonny Chiba's doing all the action for them, and it's kind of his sort of action school. And there was a very different. It was weird that there was the 2 different kind of schools that I don't think they were ever really in competition, but they had very different styles. And one sort of evolved more. The Sonny Chiba school ultimately evolved into what would become tokusatsu. So the Kamen Rider and I guess from American Touchstone would get used for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which was much more kind of based on a sort of karate fundamentals.
Which is now Koichi Sakamoto style, right?
Kind of,
Didn't he do some Power Ranger stuff? Or am I wrong?
Yeah. No, you're right. He did. He definitely came from like the modern era of like Kamen Rider and that sort of, which is definitely the evolution of what I think of as being like the Sonny Chiba style, when Sonny Chiba wasn't just trying to ape Bruce, right? And then the other side, you have Yosaki Kurata, and because Yosaki Kurata started at Shaw's and kind of cut his teeth making Hong Kong movies, basically with Lau Gar-lung, it became almost like this Japanese satellite school teaching Hong Kong style fight moves, right? And his students are Kenji Tanigaki, who I speak about all the time, who did very recently has done The Furious, and he's the guy behind Twilight of the Warriors. He's like the first Japanese stuntman to get a Hong Kong Stuntman Association membership, and
Rurouni Kenshin
long time, all the Rurouni Kenshin movies, which are also on the list to get to at some point. And long
we need
time
to do all of those.
Donnie Yen. And also Kensuke Sonomura, who's the choreographer of Baby Assassins and the director of Hydra and the director of Ghost Killer. So there's kind of like they come from the Yosaki Kurata side and sort of incorporated a more Hong Kong feel to how they do what they do. And then on the other side is the sort of evolution of Sonny Chiba's side. And they're both equally cool. They're just cool in different ways, right? And they're kind of slowly sort of weirdly coming back around to cross again, because some of the stuff in Isolated really does, like, it you'll see it. We'll talk about it once you've watched it. But
do they ever team up, though? Has Chiba and Kurata ever been in a movie together?
That's a good question. I think, yes, they have.
It's almost like, how could they not, right? I mean, you'd think...
But Kurata, when he does show up, they're never really billed as like opposing fighters. But he shows up in the Executioner movies. I think it's maybe the second one, the Executioner. He made 2 Executioner films. I think he's in the second one of those. But he's kind of supporting... He's on the same side as Chiba. He's kind of fighting with Sonny Chiba. And they're both just kind of going in. But he's not really getting to do as much stuff in Sonny Chiba's movies. And Sonny Chiba was never really that concerned with technique. He's kind of more just a freight train.
Well, and his personality, it's almost like you couldn't imagine a duo. It wouldn't be a T-Long David Chang. His whole like thing takes up the whole screen, like his whole presence. It's like
he was someone else, man. But most of the Sonny Chiba movies I love the most is ones when he's not even really doing that much action. I kind of almost preferred him as an actor as I did to like a martial artist or performer.
Well, yeah, you seem so well versed when you were going through all those TV series. I mean, I was shocked, like you were like this, and so many different like branches of Sonny Chiba I didn't know existed.
For me, I still love Shadow Warriors the most. So Kage no Gundam, his ninja series, that where he played the character that he would ultimately play in Kill Bill.
That's cool.
Hitori Hanzo. There's 4 or 5 seasons that are each like 26 episodes long, and it's kind of like a ninja A-team, where it's a different adventure each episode, and it doesn't really matter if you jump in. And the guest cast for that show was like Yusaki Kurata would show up for a couple of episodes, the Sister Street Fighter would show up. In fact, she was I think regular on the second season onwards. She's just part of the crew. Same with God, my mind's going a little bit blank. It's getting quite late here. His main disciple, like his main from Ninja and the Dragon's Den. Come on, boys, help me out.
Hiroki
Sanada. Thank you. Yes, he's also one of the main supporting kind of characters in the Ninja show. And it's just them basically by day running this sort of spa bathhouse, and by night donning ninja suits and going off and like righting wrongs.
Yeah, Dragon, so I need more of that, because how much I do adore, like, I like the cheesy aspect and see it in the American ninja movies and all that. I enjoy that aspect. I'm trying to think outside of, I've not really seen any of the authentic Japanese ninja ones. So I want the seriousness. I don't need like, the one-liners and the 80s-ness, which I love, but
I get that. Excited. Weirdly, like Shadow Wars, that TV show is like a nice bridging, because there is quite a lot of comedy in it. There's a really funny actress who works at the tea house and is constantly lusting after Sonny Chiba the whole time. And he's constantly like having to deflect her advances. And it's came around at the right sort of time, where it's a mix of like totally gratuitous nudity and because it's in a bathhouse, so there's just loads of people just randomly wandering about naked, and then really well designed action, because it's Sonny Chiba's group doing all the action sequences when they do happen. It's a great show. So yeah, Sonny Chiba I love, but I think God, I got lost in the weeds with what started this big ramble. I think before we get to doing the modern Japanese stuff, we should go back. I think Sister Street Fighter is a good call, because it would lead us quite naturally to looking at Baby Assassins.
Great. Yeah, that's nice. I think we do this at the end of every episode. We just throw a load of films that we just start discussing, like films we'd love to talk about in the future. Yeah. Hopefully our audience enjoys us getting excited about future films.
I hope so.
Well, speaking of right there, something I forgot when you said, like, let us know any ones you want us to check out on Intervention. I realized I haven't checked it too much here, but Mic'd Avengers podcast @gmail.com. They can write us there too. If they want to throw
I love it. Yeah.
Perfect. So, if you guys want to have any Intervention episodes you'd like to see down the line, we'll definitely. Our list is becoming a scroll, Like even as you say Twilight of the Warriors, I don't stop you, because I'll be like, oh, how does that fit in? Is that a top 10?
Well, just to let our listeners know as well, even though we are talking a lot about, Baby Assassins and the Raid 2, we have a sprinkling of old school stuff coming up as well. Don't think we're just going straight to the modern stuff. We're giving you a nice mix.
Our vast majority will actually be old school, because I think the fun of doing this, I don't want every single episode to be throwing Jason into something that he's not seen before. I love revisiting stuff that you know inside and out and back to front, Jason. So I know that for you, the intervention episodes are becoming a treat for different reasons. They're fun for us too, because I love showing you stuff that you've not seen for the first time. But also, I feel that we're more united when we're doing something that we've all seen a bunch of times, and
absolutely,
it flows a different sort of way. So yeah, absolutely. The vast majority of our episodes, I think, will be like pretty old school. And then we've sprinkled through these interventions like some sort of furikake over the top of like furikake being the spice that you put on top of rice, not where anyone else's minds are going.
We sprinkle them in like cocaine on a stripper's butthole.
There you go.
I love it.
Artfully said.
Yep. Sorry, it's a prostitute. Sorry, I'm thinking of Wolf of Wall Street. That's all. Doesn't he sniff cocaine off a?
I think he probably does at some point.
I saw that once in the theater. I thought it was really good, but I want to see it again.
It's so good. Arrow put out one hell of a release of that as well.
Yeah, there was a very nice.
Very fancy looking release. Very nice.
Arrow did. Well, that's interesting. Well, I thought that would just be like a Sony Columbia thing or something. How did Arrow get like a chance to do that?
Arrow get a bunch of like big studio films.
Right, like The Thing and stuff like that. But I just mean like for modern ones, you think they would have such a clamp they wouldn't let.
No,
so basically, was that the British or the UK release of it? Was the
I don't know if it was stateside as well. Was it?
I think it might have been stateside as well.
They just recently they just did Deep Blue Sea and Demolition Man and like Cobra and
the Turtles is right around the corner.
Yeah, Turtles is coming pretty soon. Yeah.
Which I have pre-ordered. I'm very happy about that.
Which one is that? Which one is that? The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah,
cool. I thought maybe it was like a newer version or something. Oh, okay.
No, they're putting out the original. I mean, no one wants part 2 and 3. I mean,
part 3 is action choreographed by Lau Gar-Lung.
By Lau Gar-Lung, which is crazy.
I love the first one. That's gritty and it's
great fun. My wife loves it.
Interestingly, it is a Shaw Brothers production, right? Like a hybrid. And 2, I did love that when I was 11. I thought it was so cool. Like that opening scene is awesome. I love that opening scene with the pizza boy. I think that's like still holds up. But with the Vanilla Ice and all that, the Secret of the Ooze, it gets a little, by the end. Like when you're not 12. And the third one, a friend mailed me a version of that. He wanted me to have it. And so I have what's it, Turtles in Time, or is that the video game?
Turtles in Time.
Okay. It's both. It's a video game too. I've not seen that one yet. I vaguely remember seeing like Donatello with the in the full samurai gear and stuff in a field. So that looks cool, but
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Davin loves the first one, and I like the first one too. So I mean, it'll be worth it for that alone. And plus I think it's a nice looking release from the looks of things. Good stuff. Lots of good releases right around the corner.
Should we bring it home?
Let's do this.
Sure.
I'll go and eat some pizza.
Cool.
Like a
Turtles.
turtle.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I got you.
That's right.
That got you thinking about it. All right, Dragon.
Oh, is it me? Of course. So thank you. Thank you very much.
You're going to be like me last time when I was like...
No, I'm holding it together. It's almost 1 a.m., but it's good. We're keeping it together. So thank you all for joining us once again. I hope you have as much fun listening to us as we do sitting down and chatting about these movies that we absolutely adore and introducing Jason to, as we have done here for the first time, which has been a blast. I'm stoked that you enjoyed the movie, even with the things that didn't resonate with you so much. Yeah. It's still all good. Thank you. This has been episode number 13 of the Mic'd Avengers. Join us again. Wow. Same bat time, same bat channel next month when we go old school. That's about all I'm going to say. We're going back into kind of old familiar territory with something old and shapesy and probably kung fu-y. And join us for that, which will be out at some point in November.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and then before you know it, it's going to be Christmas.
Christmas special. We have to do a Christmas movie.
I think we know which one it's going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Probably. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you after.
Oh, maybe I've forgotten. We'll talk about that later. I forget everything. I don't know what film we're doing next.
I know. It's part of the fun. You forget every time.
Yeah. It'll come back to you. You'll see when we get to it.
Yeah, you totally will. As soon as we start giving you a hint, you'll get it. I will say goodbye from me. I'm the Fanatical Dragon. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me in various places writing things about things. Some of them on Blu-ray releases, sometimes in magazines, but mostly just find the YouTube channel. Jason, over to you.
Yeah, you can find me on Martial Arts Theater 3000, the YouTube channel, and my it has some underscores in it, but you just type Martial Arts Theater 3000 on Instagram. You can find me there.
And
Shaun?
yeah, you can find me basically Foo for Thought everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Just put my name into Bing. I'm sure I'll pop up somewhere. Yeah, that's it for me. Oh, I'm also on a few releases out there, and I may be on an upcoming release that I can't quite talk about, but it's
Cool.
it's around the corner.
Nice one.
Thank you all for listening, and we won't see you all, but hopefully you'll hear us next month.
Absolutely.
Later, guys.
care.
Later.